It's Monday, the 25th of July, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories to rip through in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, Parliament is back this week, and the new Labor government says it wants to introduce at least 18 pieces of legislation this week. All this while arguably economic uncertainty is at its greatest in 50 years.
Yeah, this isn't going to be an easy time for the government, which really has had a great run thanks to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's overseas engagements ever since the May 21 election. This week, the focus is back on the domestic agenda, and that's where partisanship is at its greatest, of course. It's the 47th Parliament since Federation. 151 MPs and 72 senators will be sworn in. It's a very different Parliament. The House of Reps has 35 new members, including 16 who aren't part of Labor or the Coalition, the largest number certainly in modern history. The so-called crossbenchers will be given 3 questions each sitting day. In the Senate, there are 12 newbies. The Greens plus 1 hold the balance of power. There will be more women in Parliament than ever before, about 40%, and around 12 come from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. Tomorrow, Parliament resumes. That's mostly ceremonial. The real business starts on Wednesday. Some of the legislation this week covers aged care, covers domestic violence leave, Jobs and Skills Australia, the economy and climate change. The economy really is what will define this government. Not since the oil shocks of the early 1970s has a government and its departments faced so much uncertainty around inflation, interest rates, economic growth, labour market, and of course, $1 trillion of debt. We'll hear more from Treasurer Jim Chalmers on Thursday about how he plans to address that. Don't expect big spending promises.
Sean, it is going to be a massive week.
Sure is. It's exciting.
Story number 2, the federal government plans to overhaul the Australian Building and Construction Commission, which is really a win for the union movement.
It was an election promise, and yesterday Industrial Relations Minister Tony Burke said the government will scrap some of the ABCC's powers and pull others back to the bare minimum. The Fair Work Ombudsman and health and safety regulators will pick up some of the work. Labor's always criticised the ABCC as a political agency aimed at reining in the power of the union movement. So the union movement, including Sally McManus from the ACTU, are pretty happy about it.
Sean, story number 3, with more than 5,000 people now in hospital from COVID and over 500 deaths nationally over the past week, pressure is ramping up to introduce restrictions again.
But Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews and New South Wales's Dominic Perrottet are sticking to the line that there needs to be a common sense approach to the current outbreak. The Victorian government highly recommends masks indoors and working from home. Mr Perrottet, who's actually on a trade mission in Japan at the moment, said the time for mandates had passed and were relevant back when New South Wales had low vaccination rates. Now, data from that state shows that unvaccinated people and the elderly are dying at much higher rates than others. Michael, the message is clear. Be up to date on your vaccinations.
Yeah, that's right. Story number 4, Sean, I find this one pretty extraordinary because Amazon, who is best known as an online retailer, late last week agreed to buy primary care provider One Medical for $3.9 billion, expanding the e-commerce giant's virtual healthcare and adding bricks and mortar doctors' offices for the first time.
Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating. Amazon is pushing hard into healthcare, which it says needs a reinvention, primarily in the US this is. It's already in online pharmacies. It's already in telehealth services. The One Medical purchase pushes it further. The company, this is One Medical, offers a subscription-based model where users can pay a monthly fee to have access to doctors. Amazon says this is the way of the future and has bought into bricks and mortar healthcare for the first time.
All right, and final story number 5, earnings season continues on Wall Street, and some of the social media companies that rely on digital advertising really haven't impressed investors.
That's right. Late last week, Twitter and Snap both disappointed analysts with their earnings reports, and later this week, Facebook parent Meta will outline its results. Snap, which owns Snapchat, which is effectively being retired though, Snap is suffering from a loss of ads and its share price fell 39% over the weekend. Incredible. The speed of the demise of Snap has been quite remarkable. Advertising on Twitter fell in the 3 months to June compared to a year earlier. Of course, it's also had to deal with Elon Musk as well, but people are getting very nervous about the big social media companies.
You a big Snapchat user, Sean?
I wouldn't have a clue. No idea how to use it. Never used it before. My kids do, of course, but they don't use it now.
Maybe that's the problem. There we go.
Exactly.
The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 25th of July, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts, along with a bunch of interviews, including today's chat about what stocks people are buying here and in the US. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.